Mr. Scout. I know you're still weighing whether to return to Lumen. But the mark I've come to know is happy.
Hello, is anyone there? Is the board on? It's Marquez from Macro...
What you all did was one of the most painful moments in the history of this company.
What the hell?
But the four of you have become known as the face of severance reform.
Okay, so we're not in trouble?
I don't think so. Milchick said we're famous.
All of us equally, or one of us is like the star?
Now if you feel that you can't go on.
So what the hell did you guys see up there?
It's not our world up there.
And your life is filled with much confusion.
My Audi's wife died a few years ago, except the woman is Miss Casey.
So what are you gonna do?
I gotta get her out of here.
Mark, your Annie said she's alive.
This is obscene.
I just want to be sure.
Why did you do this? What is this all about?
Do you know something about Gemma?
Mark, there'll be no honeymoon ending for you.
Their work will be remembered as one of the greatest moments of this planet.
You don't value them. You fear them. We fear no one.
I'm tightening the leash.
If we let this happen to Miss Casey, who's gonna step up when it happens to us?
Now. Goodbye, Marquez.
Wait!
My name is Miss Huang. It's my first day here as deputy manager. Mark W.
Why are you a child?
Because of when I was born.
From the Lindt Matra Chocolatier, discover new Excellence Mild. Expect delicious.
Whoa, how'd you get your teeth so white?
You gotta use the right toothpaste.
Dr. C?
Not all toothpaste whiten the same.
Crest 3D White removes 100% more stains for a noticeably whiter smile.
New personal best.
Crest.
say dress for the job you want. Well,
Good morning, guys. Welcome. Just quickly trying to find the GoFundMe link real quick. It's the last thing I've been trying to do. There it is. That way I can add it to the channel description or the stream description. I hope everybody's doing great this morning. Yo, what's up, MJ? I hope you're talking about Michael Jordan. Save that into the channel link, and I think that brings us. Oh, let me switch to. There we are. Good morning. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Purple and Gold Bars podcast. Yo, what's going on, Q? I hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by and showing some love. It's been a rough couple weeks. A quick update, channel update, I guess. I've been a little bit inactive over the last 2-3 weeks here. If you guys don't know, I'm Canadian, and the medical system up here isn't quite the fastest. So I've been waiting for a procedure to come up, and usually it takes weeks or sometimes months for a procedure to get scheduled, and they called me with a cancellation, so I got right in there and just been dealing with that and the BS that comes with it afterwards. And then this week has been pretty rough because we lost one of our own. Rest in peace, Catch. There's a GoFundMe link in the description for his. If you guys have tuned into my lives or our watch parties, he's been with us week to week. He was the guy with the beard. His TV channel was Skull Catch 84, something like that. Can't even think right now. Little discombobulated. Still kind of a little shocked by that, but I want to take a moment. The moment. I want to take a quick moment. Do a quick moment of silence for our brother that we lost this week. Man, it's tough to lose friends, loved ones, and if you guys are going through the holidays, and that's a reality for you. My heart and my condolences go out to you. Yeah, so just a little bit of an update there. That's why I haven't been as active as I have been the last couple of weeks, but we're now that we're kind of on the treatment side, we got a little bit of time off from work on medical leave, so we're going to try to ramp it up a little bit as best I can despite symptoms and whatnot. But we start today. Rest in peace, brother. We're going to miss you, man. Every Sunday it's going to be hard. I'll do my best to do some play calling as well as you did. But that brings us to this week. There's been a lot that I've missed, right? So I actually was really messed up from the anesthesia. So the Bears game, I woke up in the middle of the game at some point, and don't even remember, but I remember, or Ketch telling me that I texted him in the middle of the game. So yeah, I was out of it. I didn't really catch the game. I only watched it after the fact. And going back to the Titans game with the whole, I got called last minute, kind of put my power rankings video and my reaction video on hold that week, and had to drive an hour away to a hospital to be able to get my procedure, because that's where they could squeeze me in. And so let's talk about these three games. We have the Titans game, the Bears game, and the Cardinals game. We'll start with the most freshest in our psyche here is amen, Q, that's for sure. The freshest, the Cardinals versus Vikings, right? What a typical Vikings game, like I was saying during the live or the watch party, is that it seems like our MO or our normal is that we struggle the way that we do. We always have to find a way to win and overcome our own adversities, our own self-inflicted issues. We saw it in the last three games, whether it's self-inflicted issues on the O-line or the quarterback with interceptions, or penalties. Just a lot of things that just are uncharacteristic for a 10-2 team, which granted is the truth, but at the same time, not a lot of people imagine that the Vikings were going to be 10-2 this year, and by far we're overachieving, because I had pegged the Vikings to be around that 7 to 10 win mark, so they're far exceeding my expectations, and I'm hoping they're exceeding yours. And so it's weird to see that our kind of normal is that we have been, playing down to our opponents, for lack of a better way of saying. And I'm hoping this week we turn it around and we pull a full 4-quarter game and just show our true potential with minimal mistakes, right? The Vikings stormed back late in that Cardinals game. I know in the chat, and Catch was even quite frustrated because he wasn't sure how we were going to come back after they scored that second, or that touchdown late in the third. And he had asked me at the time, he was like, what gives me the confidence, or what leads me to believe that this team can bring this game back? And I said, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, and Justin Jefferson. And those guys were crucial in that comeback. We continue to show that when we need to overcome adversity, we bring it together. And it's a great thing to see. It hasn't been pretty. Very ugly wins for the second half of the season. But we're winning. And hopefully that transitions into next year, where we can kind of clean that up and we have a whole lot less of these types of games. And it kind of evens out over the next couple of years as JJ takes over and we settle in with him. So I'm not too concerned. Haven't been concerned. The only time I've really, really been concerned, I'm not going to lie, is that last drive with Aaron Rodgers in the Jets game, right before the interception. We've all seen Aaron Rodgers in that situation multiple times in his career. As a fan and on the receiving end, and I'm not going to lie, I was like, wow, he might actually do this. This is the guy that if you give him this kind of time, he's going to bury you. He's going to put you away. And luckily we played them when we did, because sometimes when you play a team also matters, right? So they were probably still their strongest they were, aside from their little bit of what they've done in the last couple of weeks. But, we didn't know that they were going to melt down and have the rest of the season that they had after we faced them. Their defense was still pretty good, and outside of that drive, I really had no worries. In the Lions game, when we got punched in the mouth in the second quarter, I was like, well, this is the opportunity that I want our Vikings team to be in. The opportunity in which we get put our backs to the wall, and we have to prove what we're made of. And we then answered the call and brought the game back, and we're within, a handful of plays at the end to steal that game away. And that's a testament to the adversity and the determination that this team has. We've seen that even more so in the weeks coming after that. Coming off on that short week against the Rams, I wasn't worried, but I was kind of like, let's prove everybody wrong, and it went the way that it went. I'm upset that we didn't get that last drive, that missed penalty. For me, it was like, at the very least, I don't know what would have happened. Probably wouldn't have done anything, but I would have been a lot more comfortable had Sam had the chance, and the Vikings had the chance to make the tying score. If they failed, I at least go to sleep happy, and it doesn't mess with my psyche like it does, right? That's why I'm so upset with the officiating this year. The officiating this year has been total garbage, and in every game, not just ours. I don't think anybody would disagree. And since then, the adversity has piled on in multiple different types of ways. Whether we've kept close games with teams that we shouldn't have, or let certain, give up a ton of yards and bring games to overtime that should have been sealed way early in the game. Last week, being very uncharacteristic in the first half and being so inefficient, finishing with very, very little yards of total offense, to bring it back to where it was at the end, where they made the comeback drive and actually made if you look at the stats, it looks like a normal game, but if you watch it, you're like, wow, that's pretty incredible. But the one thing that still stands true is that this team, when the moment counts, they have delivered, right? And I feel like that ability is only going to get better. And it's not always going to be the case that when their back is against the wall, they're going to win and they're going to just pull it out of the gutter. But I'm going to be extremely happy that they're going to put their best effort in, and they're going to have a chance. And that chance is something that, as a Vikings fan, I feel like we haven't had in a long time. Outside of that Case Keenum miracle year, we really haven't had a lot of that to fall back on, right? So it's always been blowouts. It's always been really questionable, right? Going back to where I started in the Adrian Peterson days, right? It was like, either we just totally dominated the game through the run game with Adrian, and we just didn't let their offense have any time on the field, and we just, a defensive run game, or we got blown out, and Christian Ponder was just not able to hang in there. Followed by the same kind of variation of that over the next few years. And to have the ability to say that, you know what, when we make it to the playoffs, regardless of who's in front of us, whether that's the 8th seed or the 1st seed, we will make a game out of it. We will face the adversity, and we will have a shot at the very end. And most teams wish for that opportunity, or for their team to be able to do that, right? And so I'm grateful that our Vikings are where they are. It's a growing process for them. I'm sure over the next few years, the sloppy, ugly wins will start being removed from our repertoire, and consistency will become something that kind of dominates our narrative, and I think a lot of good things are to come. That's why I started my channel this year at the beginning of the JJ McCarthy era. I envision him taking over halfway through the season, but as we all know, his injuries kind of put us in the way that it has. But it was probably a blessing in disguise because it's forced. It hasn't put a quarterbacking controversy in play. We haven't had the media always questioning when is JJ going to come in. Constantly, putting these things on Sam, which would affect his confidence, right? So all those things haven't been a part of this year, and Sam has been tremendous. He's had great moments. He's had great games. He's had incredibly nice passes, and on the complete opposite side, he's also had some hysterical moments, some really bad blunders. But when you finish out of college and you're really green, and I kind of always associate like Sam Darnold as he's just coming out of college, or like his reclamation project, right? So he's now putting all the things that he's had to learn over the last year and then off season with Shanahan and then KOC, and it's not always going to be pretty, right? Some people when they go to school, they ace everything. As soon as they hit their job day one, they are just in it. They're a Jettas, right? They're a Jamar Chase. They're these type of players, elite players that regardless, they just kind of fall into the swing of things, and they just produce and are efficient right off the bat, and they have a couple stumbles, but nothing too serious. That's not the case with us, but Sam has just had some ups and downs. He's shown some flashes of greatness and flashes that a lot of people didn't even think he had left in him. So I'm grateful for Sam Darnold, and I'm happy that he is our quarterback. And regardless of what happens going forward for the rest of the season, I'm still my jury isn't out yet when it comes to my assessment of Sam Darnold. I've been saying from the beginning, I need to see this entire year, including the playoffs, so then I can see the totality of what he's done, to kind of have a good perspective of how this reclamation project has gone for him. In my opinion, he's probably holding a good B plus average so far in the season. I would say his midterm grade is probably a B plus. Some might even argue for an A minus, which is incredible to say coming from a quarterback that I know personally have dogged on, made jokes about way before he ever became a 49er, right? So, and even a Viking. So to see him excel the way he has so far is great to see. My jury's still out, but I venture I'm pretty close. I think my assessment is it was pretty close, and I think he's elevated his ceiling a great amount. And I think any team would love having him. Mind you, as long as they have a really solid O-line and at least a solid tight end. Doesn't have to be a solid number one receiver, but a tight end, he needs a solid safety blanket. So a team like that would be awesome to have. I would love for him to come back, be a mentor, be a part of the ride, be a part of the long-term success of this team. Based on his play, though, I don't know if he would settle for being the backup going forward, right? And letting JJ take the reins at such a young age, becoming a mentor and becoming essentially a career backup, and taking that, it's a big ask of Sam Darnold. And I think he deserves at least another shot to start for a team and have, a good 3-4 years to show that the new Sam. And maybe he'll be part of this current generation of Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield that have revitalized their career. Maybe it'll be those three guys going forward that we talk about. And then the next guy might be Mac Jones or Trevor Lawrence, as depending on where they land and how they work on their reclamation projects. But it is what it is. I'm happy to have Sam, and those last 3 games prove to me that this team has a lot of fight, and I don't want I wouldn't want any other Vikings team going into the playoffs right now. Sure, you could say, "Oh, you want a better O-line, or Darrisaw back, and all these things." But at the end of the day, this team gives us a shot to win every single game, and that's all I want. And I'm extremely happy to be along for this ride. Moving on to this week's game, Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons are coming. They're at US Bank, right? Yeah, I think they're at US Bank, so they're coming home. It's gonna be rough. US Bank Stadium is gonna be extremely loud because I know that the fan base was quite divided when it came to Kirk when he was brought onto the team, his contract as well as his ability to play the position, essentially. Full disclosure, I was a big Kirk fan, right? I was a Kirk fan from like week 4 or 5, whatever that week was, after RG3 went down in his rookie year, and he stepped in for like 2 or 3 games, and one of those games he threw for like, my memory's probably going to be off or a little bit over exaggerated. It was like 300 yards, like 3 touchdowns, and I think it was before the You Like That game, but I was like, whoa, this guy is a very good, pocket passer. And I remember being like, man, as soon as RG3 gets healthy, we need to poach this guy because, like we were in the midst of Teddy Bridgewater or Sam Bradford at the time. So I was like, I don't want to commit on to wherever it was. I didn't want to commit to the quarterback that we had at the time. In comparison to Kirk, I was like, you know what, I'd rather roll the dice with Kirk and see what he does, right? And we never picked him up at the time, and it was funny because years later we ended up picking him up after the Washington tenure, and he becomes our starter for the following 6 years. And to me, I enjoyed every single year. We had some ups and downs, some injuries that messed us up a little bit, but we had some great solid years. 2022, despite how it ended, I almost started my channel at the end of that year. I was like in the middle of editing this thank you Kirk Cousins video before the playoffs, but I couldn't get it edited. I wasn't as confident as I am now on the channel, so I didn't pull the trigger, and I let the game I waited till after the playoff game to commit to making the video, and then we lost, and then I just scrapped it, and then I said it's not the time. And then the following year he snaps his Achilles, and it's just been a shit show. And then JJ McCarthy was drafted, right? And I foresaw the beginning of a new era, and the optimism grew after every defensive player that we signed. Brian Flores did an incredible job last year, despite me being extremely skeptical, or at the very least reserved when it came to Brian Flores, coming off Ed Donatel and projecting one of the worst defenses going into that year. And to fit in somewhere at like that 17 to 15th range at the end of the season was an incredible improvement. And the thing that came to mind was like, wow, he did all that with players that he didn't bring in the offseason, that from a different era. And he made that kind of improvement with those guys. And so after that, I was kind of just like at ease with Brian Flores. I was like, he's probably going to make another jump. I envisioned going from like 17, 15 up to like 7, 8, 9, 10. I was expecting a jump like that. And then I started seeing all the defensive players get signed. And I was like, whoa. Well, we lost Kirk, and I was kind of a little bit upset because I was the one thing that I wanted was consistency, and that's at the quarterback position after all those years with Teddy and Case and the carousel that we had with Matt Castle and everything. And it was hard for me to want to let go of that quarterback consistency after doing so well on offense the year before. But then all the defensive players came in, and I was like, whoa. You know what they say? Championship wins defenses, right? So if we make a big jump on defense here, we might have something. And sure enough, we're a top 5 defense in the league. A lot of total yards can be given up or have been given up by this Vikings team, but the scores have been low for the most part. The quarterback ratings on the opposite teams have been extremely low for the most part. People forget that stat where when Vikings forced quarterbacks to throw for more than 30 times in a game, Kevin O'Connell's like 26 and like 4, something ridiculous like that, right? So it doesn't matter how much volume, how many throws you get, because it's a thing of numbers. I feel like when it comes to Brian Flores's Zoe, my dude, it's a thing of scheme with him, right? Where it's like, well, let him throw a bunch of times because we're gonna get one of these. We're gonna get a forced fumble. We're gonna get an interception. We're gonna turn the tide, and we're gonna take over defensively. And he does it consistently, at least for one turnover a game. It started off we started hot with averaging 2 turnovers a game for like the first 5-6 games, right? So it was incredible to watch, and I have total confidence in that. And then Sam Darnold has been great. And we have Kirk Cousins coming in trying to spoil Sam Darnold's year. They're on a 3-game losing streak. These are the type of games where Kirk tends to play well in, especially away from home. It's weird. He's a unique fella, that guy. But I just don't believe that he's going to be able to handle this new version of Brian Flores' defense. I know he saw a blitz-happy version of it in practice last season for the pros, for training camp, and then part of the season, and right. So he's got a little bit of familiarity, but that ain't the same beast, And a lot of teams that have been thinking that they've figured out Brian Flores' defense coming in this year have been sorely mistaken. So I think we're going to have a great game. We have a ton of tape on Kirk. We have 6 years worth of it. We know his what he can do, what he can't do. We know how to keep him rattled. Now, making that happen is a different story, right? Execution has been something that this team has been very inconsistent with during this entire season. And it's going to be a big test to see if we can let these nerves or this kind of narrative, Kirk's coming back, if we can put that all aside and just play our style of Vikings defense and just continue to smother the quarterback with pressure and give him a ton of new looks that hopefully he's not ready for, and hopefully we keep him to a career low, somewhere in that 130 to 175 range for 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 2 interceptions, something like that. US Bank Stadium is going to be extremely loud. I know he's familiar with that environment, but usually in his experience they quiet down when he's on offense. So I think that's going to be a huge factor. A lot of procedural miscues by the Falcons, a whole bunch of false starts, illegal formations, illegal shifts, things like that that require a lot of communication when it comes to the pre-snap, right? I think a lot of that's going to be hindered or messed up, especially in that early game. And if we can, create a turnover early and just create that momentum shift in our end, it's going to be a snowball effect. And the more that Sam and this Vikings offense continues to roll, I'm hoping and I'm optimistic that today is going to be the day that we put 4 full quarters together. And we can say that we put our foot on the gas. We didn't let go. We, despite any punches that got thrown our way, we immediately turned up the heat and put it right back on them. I want to see all those tropes of what we see, what we are expecting of a 10-2 team to start coming into fruition, especially now that we only have 5 games left in the season. These are the games where I'm anticipating the Vikings really start honing in and being a well-oiled machine and ready for the playoffs. So, regardless, we're going to have some hiccups, but I still feel like it's going to be our most efficient and dominant win of the season. I foresee Sam having a great game, 2 touchdowns. There's the Falcons' defense is decent, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be. I'm not sure if I'm going to be expecting him to throw the record, throw like 600 yards or nothing like that. But I could see somewhere in that 200, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception range, maybe better. If we got better, that'd be amazing. And I feel like we're going to come away with a solid win. And yeah. I think that kind of brings me to the end of my pregame and hangout. I see we got Zoe in the building. We have Q. Everybody, thank you guys for hanging out. I really appreciate you guys. And I'm gonna call. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to talk about before I call it. Let's hop score prediction. How about we can't leave without a score prediction, right? So let's kind of play out this first quarter. Let's start with the coin toss. Falcons are going to win the coin toss, and we're going to end up with the ball, I'm going to guess. Vikings are going to take a good, 76-yard drive, march down this field methodically, and come up with a touchdown. The Falcons are going to come back and answer with a field goal. And then it's going to be a couple of weird possessions, come a little bit of a back and forth. Vikings will probably end up, in 3 drives getting like a field goal. The Falcons will get like nothing in 3 drives. Going into the second quarter, they'll probably be, or nearing the end of the second quarter, the Vikings will be up like 10-3. That's when we'll end up scoring another touchdown. And then we're looking at 17-3. And of course, because we play soft in those like last 2 minutes, we end up giving up a bunch of yards and I want to say field goal, but we'll give some credit to Kirk Cousins and the boys, and we'll say they get a touchdown. So going at the end of the half, we're going to go 17-10 Vikings, and then we just kind of turn it on. We're going to score 10 points, 10 and 6. So another 16 points is my guess. So like 39 points, if my math is correct. 39 to... And they'll just get like 3 more field goals. No, wait, is it... No, yeah. Or is it 37? I don't know, like 30, 36, 37, 38, somewhere like that, to 19 for the Falcons. So there's my prediction. The X factor of the game is going to be our X factor. The X factor of the game is going to be Andrew Van Ginkel. He's got a great sense of these screen passes, quick passes. He's come away with a couple interceptions, a pick 6, as we all know, and he's come away with a lot of batted down a whole bunch of balls and almost interceptions. Kirk, we call him check down Kirk for a reason, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity there for the Gangster to kind of jump a route, maybe a screen pass, and maybe take one to the house, or maybe even 2, maybe a quick couple of interceptions, kind of really, I think he's going to be huge. He's going to be a huge factor with be that with him being our X factor. Sam Darnold, I think, is going to have a great game. Jettis is going to have another great game. Jettis, Addison, and I feel like all four of our weapons, even Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones is going to have a bounce back game this week. I think he's going to do really, really well. I could see him going for 125, 150 yards all purpose, you know, somewhere in that like 80, 90 yards and then like 40, 50 yards receiving. Boys are going to do some work today, and I feel like US Bank Stadium is going to be there to represent and really hold our team down. And yeah, Skol Vikings, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed our pregame, and thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Until next time, Skol Vikings.